Transmigrated as a disabled protagonist, how should I continue the script? Chapter 10, Demon God's Power. When Harukawa saw Yakimaru again was at a sushi shop, and conveniently saw Tezuka Osamu as well. The sullen boy in the hoodie instantly went berserk. Tezuka Osamu. The cracked pavement beneath him lifted up in chunks, as if the gravitational center around him was undergoing a violent transformation. Yakimaru's attention was drawn to the large, burning dark red flame, his muscles tensing. He felt the illusion that he was about to be consumed by the evil power released by the demon god, burning alongside it almost entirely. His fighting instincts had just kicked in when his back was suddenly hugged by the gum-like Tezuka Osamu. Tezuka Osamu wrapped his strong arms around Yakimaru's neck, hanging off his back, and peered out to look at the fuming Harukawa. He still had a piece of crab meat sushi in his mouth, chewing it slowly. "Oh, Sheep King." With cheeks puffed like a hamster, Tezuka Osamu grinned maliciously after a 3-second pause. "Raising a bunch of little lambs, working hard every day to earn money, how's that life treating you? If you ask me, there's no need to target Shirase-kun. After all, who in Suribachi Street hasn't been through some shady business? Robbed someone, accidentally killed someone, now everyone in Suribachi knows you've run off to work outside. Listen to yourself, is that what humans say?" In response, Yakimaru remained firmly in front of Tezuka Osamu, unwavering, shielding him from the overwhelming murderous intent. In front of him was the dark red center of the demon god, and behind him was the innocent Dororo. Does one need to question who the real villain is? "The biggest mistake of my life was taking you in, you trouble-stirring bastard." Over the past month, Harukawa had never endured such hardship. A powerful ability user, feared even by the port mafia as the Sheep King, yet here he was, reluctantly working regular jobs, making ends meet to support his family. The young man's resentment towards Tezuka Osamu had reached its peak, and in his fury, he took it out on Yakimaru. "So, you two really do know each other?" Yakimaru's left leg, reattached to his body, was undeniable proof. Yakimaru quietly shifted his body, unable to free himself from Dororo without harming her. If there was no other option, he would have to carry Dororo and run away. Noticing Yakimaru's intention, the corner of Tezuka Osamu's mouth curled up as he continued mocking Harukawa. "Yakimaru and I have known each other for a long time. I even saw him save a child who was about to be killed by the port mafia. But who would have thought that a certain someone would go to protect the villain and target the person who act with justice? Truly fitting for the Sheep King, who says, anyone who invades the sheep's territory will face a fierce retaliation, no matter who they are." Harukawa's face alternated between green and black, as he realized those were his own words. Suddenly, Harukawa caught the key point. "His name is Yakimaru?" Tezuka Osamu noticed a certain hint of concern in Harukawa's voice, so he immediately changed his words. "You heard wrong. His name is Tezuka, an ancient semi-automaton puppet passed down by my ancestors." Harukawa, disgusted, shouted, "I clearly didn't hear wrong. He's a human. How could he be a puppet?" Tezuka Osamu let out a faint laugh. "Have you ever seen a human who can destroy and reattach their limbs?" Harukawa hesitated, he had never seen such a thing before. Yakimaru noticed that the demon god had been slow to attack, causing him to grow tense. If the demon god specialized in deceiving humans and used some unknown method to erode Dororo's mind, it would be disastrous. He began to step backward, intending to escape the demon god with the person on his back. Seeing this, Tezuka Osamu indifferently stuck out his tongue. "I was just fooling you." Across from them, Harukawa, whose fury had been suppressed, suddenly exploded in rage and attacked. This startled the sushi shop owner and customers behind Yakimaru and Tezuka Osamu, who let out terrified screams. The crimson fist was caught by someone. For the first time, Harukawa's superpowered gravity punch was blocked by Yakimaru's unsheathed right hand. Not only was Yakimaru slightly surprised, but Nakahara Chiya's eyes also widened, his deep blue pupils flashing with both caution and astonishment. Their reactions were all taken in by Tezuka Osamu, who, through his contact with Yakimaru's skin, activated, no longer human, nullifying Nakahara Chiya's prized trump card, gravity. In the next moment, Nakahara Chiya was fiercely kicked by Yakimaru, sending him crashing into the wall across the street. Cars on the street screeched to a halt, some speeding away in panic, not daring to intervene in the impending conflict that was becoming a common sight in Yokohama. Tezuka Osamu, lazily resting on Yakimaru's shoulder, said, "There's no need to run when dealing with him." He released his hold on Yakimaru's restraint, grabbed his left hand, and calmly walked away, thinking to himself, "With me here, even the world's strongest ability users are nothing more than defeated opponents under my command." Ability, no longer human. An incredibly rare ability, a power that absolutely nullifies other ability, virtually unheard of in the world. Nakahara Chiya, not too badly injured, got up, brushing the dust off his face. However, he completely ignored his rising hatred towards Tezuka Osamu, instead glaring at Yakimaru. "Do you know Arahabaki?" "How can Yakimaru know? He can't even hear." Tezuka Osamu burst into laughter. In response to Nakahara Chiya, the black-haired boy expressionlessly grabbed his right hand. His sword unsheathed, he left the prosthetic with Tezuka Osamu while his right arm transformed into a weapon, preparing to slash down in Nakahara Chiya's direction. Nakahara Chiya's patience ran dry, and he retaliated in a frenzy, "Is it really that hard to give me an answer?" His entire body was once again enveloped in the red glow of his ability. The highly concentrated gravitational force gathered around him, shining intensely. In a moment of disbelief, the long-blind Yakimaru briefly saw Nakahara Chiya clearly. He resembled a young boy in appearance, an extremely deceptive sight. Absolutely someone to be killed. Yakimaru remained indifferent, his murderous intent unwavering. Arahabaki? Tsuchimikado. Compared to that, Tezuka Osamu's mind swirled with various thoughts. In Japanese mythology, there is a legendary god of war known as Tsuchimikado. This type of name, associated with indigenous deities, what connection could it have with Nakahara Chiya and Yakimaru? Nakahara Chiya always seemed to be searching for information about Arahabaki in Suribachi Street. Hesitating for less than a millisecond, Tezuka Osamu let go of Yakimaru's hand, calmly releasing him into the fight, as Yakimaru's thirst for battle grew. "Show me the answer through combat, Yakimaru." The battle between Yakimaru and Nakahara Chiya was an unexpected twist of fate, yet also a confrontation destined after their respective journeys through time. The only one who could remain a bystander to their deadly clash was Tezuka Osamu, the third figure in this chain of intertwined fates. From the initial attempts to evade and being unable to escape the gravitational pressure, to Yakimaru adapting to the power of the demon god and launching a relatively powerful counterattack, this was only his third time facing Nakahara Chiya. Despite Nakahara Chiya's outward appearance of being a highly emotional person, he never abandoned his rationality. The more they fought, the more his scalp tingled, realizing that Yakimaru was adapting to his released ability at an unimaginable speed. How is this possible? Can a human really do this? Nakahara Chiya's heart pounded, a growing sense of unease warning him. Yakimaru was exceptionally capable of adapting to the power of Arahabaki, and what's more, he seemed to be gradually developing a stronger resistance against his attacks. The hand Nakahara Chiya had kept in his pocket finally emerged, no longer holding back as he blocked Yakimaru's strike. Tezuka Osamu, surprised, remarked, "Ah, look at that, the little shrimp's finally taken his hand out of his pocket." A vein bulged on Nakahara Chiya's forehead. While fiercely pushing Yakimaru back, he roared, "I'm not short. I'm still in my growth period." The mental strain caused by his height added to his frustration. Standing at just over 1.5 meters tall, Nakahara Chiya erupted in fury. Even under continuous provocation, if he could still remain calm and composed, then he wouldn't be the same person who dared to single-handedly fight his way through the port mafia in Suribachi Street, and later go to the GSS armed organization to beat up Shirase, the sheep king of Suribachi Street. Yakimaru's pressure quickly mounted. The prosthetic limbs his foster father had made for him were not made of steel, designed to enhance his agility and speed, but in doing so, they reduced his ability to withstand pressure. The gravity was ever present, both from the front and behind. This is the power of the demon god, beyond mortal limits. How can I possibly fight him? Yakimaru spun through the air, dodging fists and kicks as he slashed his sword toward Nakahara-Chuya. Like a wild beast, his instincts were flawlessly displayed in his movements. After entering a perfect combat state, he could anticipate Nakahara-Chuya's next intended strike. The 12 demon gods took away my body parts, but in return, they left behind power within my body. This power protects me from dying easily. I must use the remnants of their power to defeat them. I want my eyes, my voice, my face, my arms and legs. I will take them back. The lingering power of the demon god within Yakimaru's soul surged through his fragile prosthetics, concentrating all its force into this one strike. As this sword descended, Nakahara-Chuya briefly saw an illusion. Yakimaru's entire body was engulfed in a strange, red flame, resisting the pull of gravity. His once pure, white body was partially consumed by the fire, with his life force boiling over, making him appear eerily similar to Nakahara himself when he falls into his corrupted state. Nakahara-Chuya swiftly reinforced his defense, but he was a step too late. His left hand came into contact with the sword, and like a warrior's blade cleaving through the air, it left a long, narrow wound. Stripped of gravity, an unfamiliar pain coursed through Nakahara-Chuya's body, the first time in a long while, since his rebirth as the God of Calamity. Titch, it's been a while since I've been hurt. Nakahara-Chuya clutched his left hand, which was bleeding profusely. The wound was so deep that the bone was visible, though fortunately, it hadn't damaged his tendons or bones. He was fighting to the point where he began to doubt his own existence. Are you really my kind, or are you the type that specializes in killing your own? Yakimaru's state seemed somewhat different. His intense desire to slay the demon god made him ignore everything around him. His mind was consumed by the thought of killing, fully focused on Nakahara-Chuya, determined to kill him. Why do you see me as your enemy? Let me tell you the truth, I've never killed an innocent person. Everyone who died by my hand was someone who deserved it. Nakahara-Chuya bent slightly at the waist, his blood-covered arm causing him to furrow his brows in frustration, not wanting to unleash his full power. Once he fell into a corrupted state, he wasn't sure if he could regain his clarity. Yakimaru. Tezuka Osamu noticed something was wrong. Nakahara-Chuya, frustrated, explained again, angrily saying, "Do you really have to kill me?" Yakimaru stepped just outside Nakahara-Chuya's reach, his expression emotionless as his sword rose and fell, intent only on killing. But no blood was spilled. The corrupted power didn't erupt either. Surprised, Nakahara-Chuya looked up, realizing that Yakimaru had suddenly shifted his direction, blocking a bullet aimed at Tezuka Osamu. Tezuka remained unmoved, standing still without a change in his expression, regretfully saying, "That was close. If Yakimaru had only listened to the little shrimp, I might have finally succeeded in dying." He intentionally waited for the moment when Yakimaru was about to kill Nakahara-Chuya, casting a glance in the direction of the sniper, forcing the sniper to fire first. This was meant to interrupt Nakahara-Chuya before he could use his trump card. It worked, but also failed. Tezuka Osamu was saved by Yakimaru, who, despite being consumed by bloodlust, chose to protect him first. Ignoring the burning pain in his hand, Tezuka Osamu grabbed Yakimaru's sword and examined the blade. His gaze darkened. Shattered. The sword, meant for killing, had broken apart while saving a life. Yakimaru had no regrets. His broken sword remained connected to his right hand, and his left hand did not let go of Tezuka Osamu's fingers, preventing him from picking up the shattered blade. Silently, he conveyed, "It doesn't matter, as long as Dororo is safe." Tezuka Osamu suddenly turned to Harukawa, who cared little for money, and said, "This is all your fault. If it weren't for you, how would Yakimaru have lost his weapon?" Harukawa felt a tightness in his chest, his fury making it hard to breathe. This bastard was blaming him, and with such self-righteousness. "I wish that bullet had hit you instead. The last time he fought me with his sword, I took it to get it repaired. The design's the same, so once it's fixed, it should work again," Harukawa begrudgingly said, as if trying to offer a truce to Tezuka Osamu. "But the repair cost was way too high, and I haven't been able to cover the bill yet." Tezuka Osamu casually responded with an "oh," realizing Nakahara was broke. Exhausted, Harukawa said, "Does he have hearing problems or something? I've never heard him answer me, not even once." Tezuka Osamu sneered, "Seems like it's your eyes that have the problem." Harukawa was about to get angry when Tezuka Osamu suddenly plucked off Yakimaru's ears. "See? No ears." Harukawa gasped. Tezuka Osamu then used 2 fingers to poke at Yakimaru's mask, tapping near the eyes. The texture felt good to him. "Look closer, this is a mask." Harukawa stared hard, and finally realized the reason behind the constant unease he had felt. The black-haired boy's whole face was fake. In this world, Yakimaru's life itself is renewed by artificial means, redefined people's understanding of those with disabilities. Harukawa was devastated, forced to confront the harsh reality. "Is this the kind of person I've been fighting against?" Tezuka Osamu hinted, "He can't respond to you. But if you ask me, I might know a bit." Harukawa, whose arm had stopped bleeding under the pressure of his gravitational ability, gave Tezuka a deep look, then sighed, leaving behind the shopkeeper's address to settle the repair bill. His heavy footsteps echoed as he walked away, no longer wanting to be involved in the internal strife between the two who were entangled with the port mafia. He'd deal with those two again another time. "Oh, do you really think I believe you, you trouble-stirring trash?" Titch, animal instincts. Tezuka Osamu took a jab at Harukawa's character, then turned to look at Yakimaru, only to find that he too had been insulted. Annoyed, Tezuka Osamu roughly pulled on Yakimaru's ponytail, blood mixing with the strands of hair. Yakimaru lowered his head, "I'm sorry." Tezuka Osamu stuck Yakimaru's ears back on, picked up his arm, and made sure everything was put back in place, ensuring no one would notice the broken sword inside. Now, he just needed to go to the address the little shrimp provided and get another sword. After eating and exercising, the next step was to go find Mori-san and ask for some money. That was what Tezuka Osamu originally planned, but Yakimaru's actions interrupted his thoughts. Sensing that Tezuka was about to leave, Yakimaru suddenly hugged him and then, like a bolt of lightning, dashed toward the port mafia. The momentum was no less than that of an enemy's vanguard launching an assault on the port mafia. "Why a Princess Carrie? I know you want to save me, but it's only my hand that's injured, not my legs." Tezuka Osamu flailed his arms, fiercely protesting. "The saddest thing in the world isn't that I'm standing right in front of you, and you can't see me, but that I, a normal person, am treated by you as if I'm disabled. Who's the real disabled one here?" Passers-by outside, in heartfelt voices, confirmed. "How pitiful, those 2 boys are completely wrapped in bandages. Disabled times 2. At the port mafia headquarters, Mori-san, acting as the doctor for both of them, kindly examined them. After finishing the checkup, he sent Yakimaru, who clearly disliked being there, off to the side and personally tended to Tezuka Osamu's wounds, carefully bandaging them up. "Hurt anywhere else?" "No." Tezuka Osamu, with a dark expression, complained, "I only needed bandages, there was no need for you to come." Mori-san smiled and replied, "I'm a doctor, and also the future boss. Naturally, I need to show some concern for the witness who got shot." Otherwise, everyone might think I want to kill you. Tezuka Osamu responded, go ahead and kill me, that would be great. Mori-san smoothly changed the subject, Tezuka-kun, do you have any opinions about the Sheep King? No opinion. Tezuka Osamu couldn't be bothered to continue analyzing with him and, in an instant, snatched Mori-san's wallet. Although Mori-san felt the weight of his wallet disappear and his eyelid twitched, he didn't pursue the matter. Those in need weigh things far more carefully than those who don't. Mori-san smiled as he left, leaving the room to one cunning person and one little rascal with impressive physical abilities. Tezuka Osamu opened the wallet, using his bandaged hand to rummage through for cash and credit cards. I wonder if there's enough money. Not knowing much about the cold weapons manufacturing industry, Tezuka Osamu pondered the potential of using both threats and persuasion. Meanwhile, after Mori-san had left, Yakimaru sat down across from Tezuka Osamu, feeling tired and frustrated as he realized that he simply couldn't kill a demon god. Though their thoughts weren't on the same wavelength, a strange sense of harmony arose between them. This was probably what people referred to as the legendary understanding. Yakimaru. Tezuka Osamu waved his hand a few times in front of Yakimaru's face, finally snapping the dazed person back to reality. Yakimaru slightly moved his head, a gesture indicating his confusion. Tezuka Osamu jumped down from his seat, dragging the medical kit that Mori-san had brought over and placing it beside Yakimaru. Dr. Mori, well, Mori-san, brought quite a few medical supplies for us. He's probably worried I might drag you along to the underworld at any moment. Tch, if that's really his plan, no amount of medicine would help. He took out a large amount of medical bandages from the kit, his eyes filled with fondness for them. The gray strips of cloth wrapped around you are about to fall apart, time to change them. Huh? Yakimaru, thinking there would be no problem, removed his outer clothing, only to realize that Dororo was about to start unwrapping the bandages on his body. He immediately stopped this alarming action. Dororo is a girl, and he's a boy. Are you embarrassed? Tezuka Osamu grinned slyly, getting back at him for carrying him in the princess hold earlier. A few pieces fell away, and without his arms and legs, Yakimaru lay on the bed. His body, now exposed, looked like a torn-apart puzzle. Combined with his beautiful face, it gave off a cold, twisted, and distorted sense of beauty. Tezuka Osamu carefully wrapped the clean bandages layer by layer around him. The white cloth that had covered Yakimaru before, or rather, the now gray strips of fabric, were successfully tossed into the trash. Satisfied with his work, Tezuka Osamu watched as Yakimaru curled up and turned his back to him. He let out a triumphant sigh. Relax, I didn't take any souvenir photos, nor did I pull your pants off. Tezuka Osamu, thinking about Yakimaru's strange, skinless body, clicked his tongue. Still, wrapping you up in bandages looks much better. Look at that. A monster like you, wrapped in bandages, with some makeup applied, wouldn't you blend right in with everyone else? Lying on the bed, the black-haired boy's hair became disheveled as he struggled. His body, curled up with his clothes hanging loose, was wrapped in layers of pristine, delicate bandages that replaced his skin. As long as it could be covered, his body always had a tough, resilient feeling unlike Tezuka Osamu's. Compared to a modern accident victim being discharged from the hospital, he resembled more an ancient wandering swordsman, poor but not weak. Dororo, aren't you afraid of seeing me like this? Yakimaru had no idea how his current appearance might attract those with bizarre or twisted aesthetics. He tried his best to remain calm. Once again, he strengthened his resolve to kill the demon god and reclaim his lost body parts. In the future, he was certain he would be able to see what Dororo looked like and hear her voice recounting the past. Chapter 10 End.